Good evening. We're Mira and Mark Halpert. We're going to test the mic in just 1 minute. We're going to test our mic. We yet again because somehow our mic is working. Okay. Welcome to 3D Learner. We're Mira and Mark Halpert. It is Tuesday night, July 19th, and we are talking about executive function. We're hoping you're having a really good summer holiday. We're sort of halfway through the summer. Let's see what we can do about helping you help your child be all they can be using what we can for the rest of the summer.
And what we're talking about tonight is both executive function and self-regulation. And one of the things about it is when children have the opportunity to develop these executive function regulation skills, individuals and society experience lifelong benefits. And this is from Harvard Center on the Development of Children. And they also make another interesting point, which is that children aren't born with these skills. They're born with the potential to develop them. And another important point for parents to understand is schools rarely address them. And to the extent they do, they address them with strategies rather than with processes that actually improve those skills. But it's also important to note that these skills, whether it be working memory, processing speed, attention, or self-regulation, can be learned and mastered. And that we'll talk about an approach that leverages strength-based parenting rather than just working on weaknesses.
Right. So one of the things that happens for those of you who have had psychological testing for your child, you might notice that there are some sub-scores that come on it, and they might say, oh, well, their working memory for your child is really bright, but their working memory or processing speed is really quite low. And in fact, statistically, it can be an enormous discrepancy. We've seen kids with various sub-scores as high as over 130, which is two
standard deviations above the norm, or basically in the top 2 percentile.
But more than a deviation below the normal. So it would be actually a 3 deviation separation.
And basically what this means is their intelligence as measured by verbal skills or other skills is at the 98th percentile, but their processing speed, which is the one that's often the lowest, might be as low as a 16th percentile. And this causes major problems when a child tries to succeed in advanced or even gifted classes.
And one of the things we're going to talk about this evening is some of why those issues are difficult. But truly understand that these kids, and this is the heart of the 3D Learner program. These are the kids that are really in our wheelhouse. They are very smart, smarter than a good share of their peers, but the challenge becomes it doesn't necessarily appear that way, and we're going to see that there are behaviors that happen, the transitions are difficult. There are lots of things that you think, oh, well, wait, they're really smart. How can that processing speed be such an issue for these kids? It means that reading passages could take a really long time. Getting work done could take a really long time. And the problems that erupt from that kind of issue, not the least of which is that these kids are so very self-aware that they can become hard on themselves. And so then you get that even more anxiety and depression issues that come into play. So 3D Learner involves, we're sort of the heart of this, right? Where we pull together the executive function, that right brain learner, that visual, experiential, creative student, along with who has issues with visual processing, auditory processing, and motor planning issues. And those issues can all intersect all together, that these are kids that have all of these issues at the same time: attention, mental flexibility, processing speed. As we said, this is our sweet spot. This is where 3D Learner comes together, where we train you as parents and train these students with how to be able to cope and how to be able to work with building those skills and working towards what their abilities truly are and how they can make everything strong.
And one of the important points is that not every child has these challenges,
Right.
but frequently they'll have 3 or 4 of the problems we're going to allude to.
Right. So, for the right brain learner, this working memory skills may be consistently inconsistent. So, they have strong visual memories. I think this is a perfect picture of what a 3D learner really wants to be able to do. They want to be able to make a project that uses pictures, that uses any of their toys or trophies. They're wonderful at creating images, and that creating images that work for them, that they truly understand their experiences. And but they also have, more than anything, if they're truly visual, they have a difficult time remembering just what they've heard. Have you ever had the experience of giving your child a verbal direction, especially when they're in the middle of doing something that's visual or hands-on? It's as if you don't exist in the room. Spelling words and math facts can be difficult because they haven't created a picture that works for them. Words they've not seen or mastered, again, it's about recognizing the patterns of words. And when those letters, and let's remember, letters like numbers are symbols, and when they're in a particular order, not necessarily because a nonsense word is difficult for them, but when letters are in a particular order and it has a particular, and it means something, and then it means something to them, they truly go to this aha moment where they fully understand and remember forever what those words mean and how those words are spelled. They have a difficult time remembering all the rules of the English language or Spanish. The challenge becomes someone went through and found the patterns and made rules and then made exceptions to rules. And for so many kids, that helps. For right brain learners that are struggling, meaning that are, this we have found, and we have worked with thousands of kids for over 25 years now. We have a pretty good idea about what these kids need to be able to thrive.
And schools will often say, well, we can make accommodations. And we are firm believers that these children deserve accommodations because they can't always remember everything. But it's much more important to improve the underlying skills, and working memory can be significantly improved.
Right. It absolutely can be. So this was sort of a perfect, I'm going to say, picture for me, because for these right brain learners, this is what processing speed seems like. Looks like they're going into this major tunnel or black hole that they just don't understand. They look around and they are recognizing that their peers are doing things faster than they are, so that actually even slows them down. But let's take a minute to think about, when you think in pictures, it means that in your brain you're downloading this movie image that takes a little bit longer than processing just the word. But when you process, and by the way, they're not just processing one picture, they're processing multiple pictures. So that can be, and there's no way of measuring that. My good friends that are in the testing industry go, we just have no way of knowing how to be able to truly assess how maybe these kids are truly processing so much faster, but they're processing so much more. As of yet, we just don't know how to be able to assess that. But we know that they read slowly. That can be a processing issue. They often get into trouble because they process slowly. One, as I said before, they feel bad, and they feel some sort of shame or anxiety about, well, I know I should be. And worse than that, if people and teachers, parents, any adult might say, oh, you're smarter than this, why can't you do this any faster? Or they truly pick up on that nonverbal cue about you're annoyed because they didn't do something quickly enough, that gets to be a big problem, and they'll stop doing what they're doing and cause some other sort of trouble that gets them some different kinds of attention, and not always positive attention.
And again, accommodations are helpful, but as we had with a student a couple of years ago who was reading 125 words a minute, he was a good reader, but tortuously slow, didn't have any qualifying condition for accommodations by the College Board, but we were able to improve his processing speed, and his reading comprehension went up a couple of grade levels, but his reading speed went from 125 words to 300 words a minute, which was from below average to well above average. And now he was able to finish the test without any time pressure. and do much better.
So let's be clear, whether you're watching us live or whether you're watching us on recorded on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, we're not talking about teaching kids to speed read. We're talking about kids to be able to naturally get their abilities to have their eyes and their brains working together, body working together, so that they're reading it, around 250, 300, 350 words per minute. If they can do faster, that's, but more than anything, we want them to be able to be comprehending close to over 90%, so that they don't have to reread, and that once they read at that speed and they comprehend, they own it because they've created a movie in their head.
And to give you an example of the implications of this, Dr. Hellestein, an optometrist, and Dr. Linda Silverman, a great psychologist out of the Gifted Development Center in Denver, did a study that showed when you actually improve the visual processing, it improves the processing skills and actually improved, on average, a kid's IQ by 7 points, because the way they construct IQs now, working memory and processing speed are double weighted. So it's really important, not only for IQ, but much more important for success in school and in life.
Right. And we're seeing and hearing about this more and more, about how processing speed is just an issue, and parents do not know where to turn. They're being told all kinds of different things about the fact of, well, that's the way it is, so therefore your child doesn't really belong in these more advanced classes or doing things because their processing things are just so slow. It's frustrating. So the fright brain learner, the mental flexibility is a common issue. Now, as I said, they're really creative, but sometimes they have a really difficult time trying to transition, especially as they get to upper elementary and into middle and high school, where they have to move from class to class, or they have to move from one place. It's honestly like this poor bear on an island. They just don't know where to go, what to turn. Sometimes they will freeze. Sometimes they will, sometimes they just shut down, and they don't understand. Lots of times it is language, or they don't understand somebody's different point of view because they've locked onto the picture that they have in their head. And changes and plans can often cause problems. We have found, even ourselves, that as parents, we were the ones that needed to be able to make the change. And please use a visual schedule. I can't emphasize this enough. We actually have them available on our website, but please use them. I know you're saying, oh, this is just so hard, I don't know. Your kids, especially these great brain visual learners, need to be able to have some structure about knowing what's planned, what's what's ahead, and where things are and where they are visually. Remember I said a little bit ago about those verbal instructions? Remember, we're going to go here, and then we're going to go there, and then we're going to do that. That's so overwhelming to them. They need to be able to have a solid, tight picture.
And we'll probably do a future presentation on the visual schedule, because it's a game changer to these kids.
Right. So once again, Mark gets this. Yes. Accommodations. This seems to be your line for the night. Accommodations certainly can be helpful, but mental flexibility through using their visualization skills can help these kids and their families a lot. And they need to be able to know how to be able to use it. That's for sure. Okay.
Attention is really a difficult one for parents and teachers to understand. Frequently, a parent will say, but Johnny can hyper focus on what he likes. And Dr. Tom Brown, a great psychiatrist out of Yale, once had a room of 150 psychologists, and educators. And he said, I want you to write down every word I say about inattention. And we all got a clean sheet of paper out, and we start ready to write a page-long thing. And he says very simply, inattention is the inability to pay attention to that which is boring.
So,
Then he paused and he said, it's exactly the kid who can hyper-focus on that which is interesting, who has difficulty paying attention to that which is boring or frustrating.
right. And I go into this a little bit about that word boring. Kids have learned to be able to use that. What we're really talking about is engaging them from prior experiences, engaging them from attaching, as we will, to that visual movie that's in their head, and getting them to be able to engage at their level. There are natural and effective ways to improve attention. We happen to use the interactive metronome. We've used it for over 20 years. We were one of the first implementers of this program, and we have found tremendous improvement with kids. But we do it also with a lot of visual motor integration work, and we have found that all of these kinds of things all work together.
One of the things to understand in this, what I call the post March 15th, 2020 world, is a lot of these things we're talking about can now be delivered anywhere in the world with this high-speed internet. We're now doing clients with both working memory, processing speed, and attention challenges throughout the country.
Around the world, actually. So if this looks familiar to you about 3D, about your child that's frustrated, and when school here in Florida starts actually within the month, 3D Learner addresses the executive function and self-regulation issues. But as I said, we do this in an integrated fashion. We use the mind print cognitive assessment. Again, it's available online. We could do this for students around the world. We also have a longer online assessment that we also actually use. But the mind print actually has been working beautifully. It's done with a Brainwork Safari also, and coaching that we offer. Our staff offers that for our students and families around the world. It totally improves executive function along with other programs that we do with that.
And the interactive metronome actually improves attention, self-control, impulsivity, handwriting, reading fluency, and math fluency, and is incredibly effective for both students and student athletes because it improves both academic performance, attention, and athletic performance.
And finally, what leads to results in something called the Safe and Sound Protocol, or SSP for short. This is being used and touted by therapists and professionals around the world for being able to help children and adults, actually even parents and kids together doing this. It's a intensive listening program that is both fun but unbelievably effective at being able to attack the vagus nerve, which is the brain-gut nerve, and it totally helps kids regulate, calm down, major use with anxiety and trauma. Now, I think all of us sort of hear that word trauma and you think, oh, there must have been something traumatic. Quite honestly, the world has just gone through and are continuing to deal with trauma at some various level. And all of us have, different capacities to be handled some different things differently. So all of us can benefit from something like the Safe and Sound Protocol.
Including both of us.
We use it regularly.
So what we're offering between now and the 5th of August is 25% off all our assessments. And also we can tailor a program to meet your child's needs, again, no matter where they are in the world, as long as they have high-speed internet. And to contact us, you can either call us directly at 561-361-7495 or book a time on our schedule. And this is a time where it's a no-cost consult to help you understand more about the key issues to you, because not every parent has the same issues. Some kids are seven, some kids are 17, some kids have working memory, others have processing speed, other kids also have reading comprehension. Because in addition to addressing things like executive function and self-regulation, we also have a more comprehensive program that addresses reading comprehension, executive function, self-regulation, and much, much more. So you can book a time at 3dlearner.com/book now. And really, we encourage you to look at your child and say, what could they be like if they acquired the skills of better working memory, better processing speed, and better self-regulation? For instance, it would get homework done a lot better. As one dad said, it was amazing how much quicker my child could do homework. And I asked him why it was true. And he said, because Dad, do you know how much easier it is to do homework when you can pay attention in class? And the skills of working memory and processing speed will pay off for years to come. So again, if you'd like to talk, give us a call or book a time on our schedule. We'd love to talk to you and start the next school year off with a bang.
Remember, Mary and Mark Helper from 3D Learner, we started this truly as parents. I'm a professional educator or professional parent coaches, and we've been doing this for over 25 years and with thousands of students and parents. And we're humble to know that we've made a difference, and I'm also truly blessed to be able to have some of the most outstanding kids and families doing the most unbelievable things. Please come join our journey. Let us help you be the coach and advocate that we know you want to be for your most outstanding child.
And join us next Tuesday night on the 26th of July, where we're going to be talking more about improving reading comprehension. We'll also blend it with some more comments on working memory, processing speed, and attention, because it's when you address the whole child that you can really make the difference.
Again, thank you so much for joining us live. And for those of you that see us on a repeat, please make sure you make comments, send questions our way. We're happy to be able to help where we can. We're thrilled to have you be with us. Have a really good evening. Stay cool and enjoy the rest of your summer. Bye-bye.